Welcome back to One Fat Queen. Welcome back, everyone. So, today's episode for One Fat Queen, I wanted to focus on crazy historical events that aren't typically taught in school, at least not in my school. And this kind of came up, I randomly research a lot of just stupid shit on the internet, and I fell down a rabbit hole, like a really fucking deep rabbit hole. And there is so much that they do not tell you in school that, in my opinion, I think they should, because fucking A, it's mind-blowing. So, my first story kind of relates to, well, it doesn't kind of, it does relate to Mount Vesuvius and, the eruption that wiped out Pompeii. Like, everyone knows about Pompeii. It happened, back in 79 AD, I believe. But anyways, in school, you learn all about Pompeii and how everyone, choked to death on the ash falling through the air, and then they were buried under, feet and feet of ash. But what they don't tell you is all the other cities that were actually destroyed by Mount Vesuvius. They only really tell you about Pompeii, when in fact there were 7 other cities that were destroyed besides Pompeii. And the one I want to focus on is a city called Herculaneum. And it was actually the closest to Mount Vesuvius when it erupted. And what's freaking crazy is the way these people died, because it wasn't just like Pompeii, because they were so close to Mount Vesuvius when it exploded that a wave of gas that was 900 to 1,000 degrees in temperature swept the city, and everyone's heads exploded instantly. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, that's fucking crazy. How does that even happen? Well, because of the vast temperature and how fast it went through the city, like, people's brains boiled instantly, and they had no place to escape, so just blew holes through their head. They just fucking exploded, and everyone died instantly. Like, it's crazy, because, like, the bodies, and I'll show you a picture here, but the skeletons, they're in the same position they were in the middle of the action they were doing when their fucking brain exploded. It's not like Pompeii, like, you see people, like, huddled up, like, because they were choking and dying slowly. It's literally, they died instantaneously right in the middle of the action they were doing, which is fucking terrifying. Like, why was this not taught in school? And, like, it may be that it wasn't taught because, it's not super recent, but, like, they followed different waterways that were connected to Pompeii, I believe it was. God, I don't even know. They followed some sort of path, and that's how they found these other cities that were buried underneath the ash. Like, I think Herculaneum, it was buried under, like, 15 meters of ash. Like, so, it had to have taken a fucking decade to unbury the whole fucking thing, but, like, God, that's just so fucking crazy. That is so crazy. Mind blown. No pun intended. So, this next one, it's a little more dark. I know you're thinking, like, how can you really get more dark than that? But it's a little obscure too, but it deals with one of the most esteemed, authors, writers of all time, Edgar Allen Poe. And he had written the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. Now, I know what you're saying. That's a really long title. It must be really fucking boring. And I kind of skimmed it because I thought this story was, like, crazy, and I wanted to, fact check and everything. But basically, a piece of this story is how these guys are stranded on a boat, and they draw straws to eat one of the people, like, to, basically be cannibals, in order to survive. And so they're all willing to, sacrifice one person, so they draw straws. And, the person that ends up dying, was a stowaway on the ship, and, his name was Richard Parker. So, pretty common name. Not too big of a deal. Now, here's where it gets creepy. That was written back in the 1830s, but about 40 years later, it actually happened. Like, not even just, like, coinkydink. Like, men stuck on a freaking boat in the middle of the ocean because their ship sank. And they chose to eat one of them. And guess what the motherfucker's name was? Richard Parker. I'm shook. I can't handle it. Like, how does that even happen? How does that big of a fucking coincidence happen? Like, and not only that, like, there's more parts of the story that, like, align. Like, in the book, story, whatever, narrative, they catch a passing sea turtle and eat it, and they use the shell. And in real life, they caught a fucking sea turtle and they ate it before choosing to sacrifice someone. Like, there's just so many similarities. Like, I mean, this kind of takes me back to, like, the whole conspiracy things that I fucking love so much. But, like, can he see the future? Could Mr. Poe see the future? Was it a dream? Did aliens come to him and be like, hey, this shit's gonna happen in 40 years? Write about it. Who fucking knows? But that's fucking crazy. Let's move on. So my last thing I want to talk about in this episode of Crazy Historical Events is called the Tunguska Event. I mean, it definitely wasn't taught to me. I can understand maybe why it wasn't taught, because they don't really know. So basically, on June 30th of 1908, so, you know, over 110 years ago, Stony Tunguska River in Russia, there was a giant explosion just in the middle of the wilderness. And this explosion was fucking gigantic. Like, it flattened over, oh god, tons. I think it was like, yeah, 80 million trees. It flattened 80 million fucking trees over a course of 770 square miles of land. Like, just a perfect circle of just death. I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure animals probably died. I have no clue. But the weird thing is there were no humans or anything in the area. There was nobody injured or killed in that event, which is really weird because 770 square miles, that's fucking huge. That's 3/4 the size of Rhode Island. That's fucking gigantic. But, like, when they measured it out, like, the force they think of the explosion was between 15 to 30 megatons. Now, just as a reference, 15 megatons itself is 1,000 times stronger than the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. Just think about that. That's Jesus Christ. Like, how does that even happen? Like, and the even weirder thing is, like, how do they not have any clue what even happened? Like, there are theories. Like, one of the theories is that maybe, like, a meteor or a comet blew up overhead, and the impact from, like, the air being forced down did it. But then, like, what they're saying is there should also be a piece that would have hit ground somewhere. And if so, there'd be a crater, but there's, like, no craters nearby whatsoever. And it's just the ground was completely flattened. And, like, God, that freaking freaks me out. Some stories even say that the sound of the blast was heard clear into Great Britain. I mean, just think about that. You know, thousands of miles away, they heard that. If it was an earthquake, it would have measured a 5.0 on the Richter scale. That's, like, terrifying. That's fucking terrifying. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Like, what was it? What could it have been? Was it, like, some secret government bomb test? Or was it, like, aliens? Or fucking... Was it a meteor? Who fucking knows? But Jesus Christ, that scares the fuck out of me. Like, existential crisis? Overload. I just can't. I can't handle that. It's fucking crazy. On that last one, I want your guys' opinions on that. I want to know what you guys think that shit was, because fucking A, and I think the world needs to brainstorm. If it's been 110 years and we still can't figure out what the fuck that was, there's an issue. So I want y'all to brainstorm and let me know what you think about that one, because fucking A. But anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. I want to say thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed these fun facts from history. That's all I got. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.